Welcome to Uniquely Spoken Podcast, empowering healthcare, where transparency sparks transformation. Are you ready to dive into conversations that will spark ideas and inspire action? This is a podcast that refuses to accept the status quo. Welcome back. This is episode 17, Perspective Eyes, Transforming Care Through Empathy. In episode 16, we talked about systems. We talked about staffing. We talked about what is happening inside long-term care. But today, we're going deeper. Today, I want to talk about something that is not written in policies, not enforced in regulations, but impacts every single resident, every single family, every single employee, and that is empathy. We train healthcare professionals on procedures, medications, documentation, dementia, and more. But what they are not consistently trained on is how to connect through perspective eyes, how to understand what life event brought that resident to long-term care, how to care beyond the task. What if it were you? And that is where the gap exists, because caring is not just about skills. It's about how that skill is delivered. When I say perspective eyes, I want you to picture this. It's like looking through a pair of binoculars, but instead of seeing anything else or someone else, you're seeing yourself, your needs, your fears, your voice waiting to be heard. Perspective eyes mean we stop looking at the resident as a task and start seeing care through their experience. But what does it feel like to wait for pain medication? What does it feel like when no one answers the call light or don't respond to your phone call when you need them most? What does it feel like to depend on someone and not be heard? That is perspective eyes. Let me share a story from an article I read several months ago. Cassandra Frederick, a home health aide in Washington State. She faced her what? A serious auto accident that left her injured. And suddenly, she went from caregiver to resident. Her what? Forced her into living the what if. While recovering in a nursing home rehabilitation center, she experienced a touch of reality. Now relying on the very care she once provided to others. And she shared her story through her perspective eyes. She saw it differently. She experienced it differently. Long delays for pain medication, inconsistent caregivers, faces constantly changing, poor communication, and unanswered call lights. In this same article, they talk about a friend, Miss Smith, who oversaw the care for her friend who was in the same rehab, Miss Overbay. And when she arrived on one visit, she observed her friend crying. Miss Overbay cried because she stated she had wheeled herself out of her room, going to refill her water cup, and she had only made it 2 doors away before a caregiver came along and asked her what she was doing out of her room. She was not allowed to get water. She was told to go back to her room and push the call light. The same call light that we heard from Cassandra that staff was not responding to. Miss Overly at that time is reported to have a condition called C. diff, a stool infection. Yes, it is contagious. However, were they answering her call light? Reiterating, she was in the nursing home and rehabilitation center at the same time as Cassandra, facing a touch of reality and reporting call lights were not being answered. And Cassandra expressed feeling helpless. If staff chose to ignore her, there was very little she could do. Think about that. A caregiver who once gave care, now dependent and unheard. Her experience showed us something deeper. When there is a lack of staffing, a lack of continuity, a lack of accountability, a lack of attention, it doesn't just affect tasks, it affects dignity, it affects recovery, it affects trust. Her what gave her the unfortunate opportunity to see life inside a nursing and rehabilitation facility, long-term care setting through the perspective eyes from caregiver to resident. And in that moment, her what and her what if became aligned with the everyday reality of those in long-term care. This is why my training focuses on 3 principles: empathetic mindsets, compassionate hearts, and caring hands. Because empathy is not optional. Compassion is not personality based. And caring must be taught, reinforced, and expected. Empathy, compassion, and caring must be required, just like every other training in long-term care. So understand this. My mom's life journey showed me empathetic mindset, compassionate heart, and caring hands. And while I lived in Georgia and being the only nurse in the family supporting my siblings, I managed her medical care. I cannot close without again giving a strong shout out to the Wyatt Woods Nursing Home and Rehabilitation nursing staff, housekeepers, maintenance, unit managers, supervisors. The team was dynamic in Akron, Ohio. You see, the staff that was caring for her, they always took time for me and my siblings. They always was willing to be patient and explain everything so we understood. They made sure that we knew they cared. They made sure that we felt comfortable when we left her there after every visit. That was having an empathetic mindset. And again, on her hardest days, they didn't pull her back. They stood by her. They provided her care the way she wanted it. They encouraged her. They showed up. They used gentle hands when she had to rely on them to meet her everyday needs. And for that, it explains how not just being present, how staff showed up when we were not. I can only say again, my mom will forever be my heartbeat. And we will forever be grateful to Wyatt Woods Nursing Home Rehabilitation Center staff. So know when I advocate, again, this is personal. Every resident has faced a what? An accident, an illness, a diagnosis, and then comes the what if. But the touch of reality is they are now in long-term care settings. And now it becomes our responsibility to decide how they are treated. So we can talk about staffing. And as we advocate for licensed practical and vocational nurses and medication aides, we cannot focus on numbers alone. We must focus on mindsets because frontline staff need more than workload. They need support. They need training, not just clinically, but emotionally. So here is the shift. Empathy, compassion, and caring training must become mandatory, just like infection control, medication trainings, compliance, and dementia. Because care is not just about tasks, it's about how those tasks are delivered. When we train empathy, we strengthen the workforce. When we strengthen the workforce, we improve compassionate outcomes. And when we improve outcomes, care is optimized and lives are changed. This is how we elevate long-term care by aligning staffing, training, mindset, and purpose every day. This is also important to be incorporated in mandatory shift changes. So, this advocacy is not just about nurse and medication aid staffing ratios. They align alongside one another. They both must have a change now. Because how we prepare the people providing care other than ongoing training to have empathetic mindsets compassionate hearts, and caring hands. How we support LPNs, LVNs, and medication aides to lead is to teach them to be teams and rise together. Because in the end, empathy, compassion, caring is not extra. It is essential. I am Juanita, the founder of Uniquely Spoken LLC. I started this podcast to ignite change in healthcare, starting with long-term care settings. It is time to transform nursing homes and rehabilitation centers, assisted living, and memory care communities to all become premier long-term care settings nationwide. It is time for all long-term care settings to receive a 5-star quality and customer service rating. It starts now, and it starts with me. It starts with you, you, and you. And the time is now. Thank you for joining us. We broadcast every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to join the conversation, request to be a speaker, and partner in transforming long-term care settings. And don't forget to tune in next week. Thank you for joining us on Uniquely Spoken LLC podcast. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Remember to connect with us. Follow, comment, subscribe, share, be a guest. Visit us at uniquelyspokenllc.com/podcast. That's UNIQUELLCENLC.com/podcast. Or if you are a viewer, scan our QR code. Please remember to stay informed, stay empowered, and keep the conversation going. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next week.